I call the honourable member for Lyne.
Thank you, Madam.
There'll be silence on both sides of the House. The member for Lyne has the call.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister for Infrastructure and Regional Development. Would the Deputy Prime Minister please update the House on what actions this government's taken to ensure sustainable foreign investment in agricultural land and agribusiness?
I call the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure and Regional Development.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for his question. And he, like most Australians, appreciate that over the years Australia has depended very heavily on agriculture and our farming industries to underpin our national economy for more than 100 years, which was said our country rode on the sheep's back, and wool and other industries certainly underpinned our national economy. But over recent times, there's been a growing interest in the importance of our agricultural land, particularly in these days of food security, growing populations around the world, and our precious agricultural resources are regarded very highly around the world. Now, we've always had foreign investment in agriculture in Australia. Go right back to 1788. From then onwards, there's been foreign investment in agriculture, and that investment has played an important role in developing modern agriculture, bringing new technology to our country. But we have a right to, as a nation, to be sure that investments in our country are not contrary to the national interest. And over recent times, there's been an explosion in foreign purchases of land in this country. In Queensland, the only state that has a register of foreign ownership, the level of foreign ownership has trebled over the last decade under the watch of the previous Labor government. They stood by and did absolutely nothing. They had a trigger in place for reporting to the Foreign Investment Review Board, but it was so high that there was no farm in the country that actually would ever place the trigger, would ever in fact have to be reviewed. And so under Labor, a foreign investor could come in and buy every single farm in Australia without ever having to ask. They could have bought every farm in the country without ever having to ask. But of course, if the foreign investor wanted to buy a little house in the town near the farms that he bought, he did have to go to the Foreign Investment Review Board to get approval. So from under Labor, any farm was for sale, but the houses in town you had to ask. Now, this was simply not a policy that was in our national interest. We are making a decisive change. Once the purchases reach $15 million, or the purchase is valued at $15 million, Foreign Investment Review Board approval will have to be sought. This means that we'll have an understanding of what level of foreign ownership there is in our country. We will still welcome investment that's in our national interest, but we will know what's happening, and we'll have a say to ensure that our precious agricultural land is used productively also for future generations.